Hare Krishna. Today we are going to hear about the glories of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15. Sri Shiva is saying, "My dear Parvati, now I will tell you the glories of the 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Kindly listen carefully. In Gauda Desha, there was a king of the name Narasingha. He was so powerful that he was able to defeat the demigods. The commander of his army was known by the name of Sarbhav Merund. He was very greedy, and along with the prince, what he had done is he had planned to kill the king and become the ruler of Gauda Desha. But before he was able to carry out his evil plan, he got cholera and very quickly he died. After that, he took his next birth as a horse in the country known as Sindhu. That horse was very beautiful and was very fast at running. He had all the qualities of a prized horse. One day, the son of a very rich man of Gauda Desha saw that horse and decided to buy him with the intention of selling him to the king of Gauda Desha. After having purchased that horse, he took him to the capital of Gauda Desha. When he reached the city, he went straight to the palace of the king and requested the guards to inform the king of his arrival. When he came before the king inquired from him, "What have you brought here?" That businessman replied, "O king, in Sindhu I found a horse of the highest quality, and its equal cannot be found in the whole universe. I paid very much money for it." So the king ordered, "Bring that horse immediately." That horse was then quickly brought before the king, who became very pleased with the high qualities of the horse. After having examined the horse, the king paid to that businessman whatever amount he had requested without thinking twice. After some days, the king decided to go on hunting. So riding on that horse, he set off for the forest where he saw a deer, to which he immediately gave a chase. So he had gone for the hunting, no? So when he saw the deer, he started chasing. Following behind that deer, he followed in every direction the deer turned. After some time, he left the rest of his party far behind. After chasing for a long time and becoming very tired and thirsty, he stopped to take rest at a place. He tied the horse to the branch of a tree and he himself sat down on a large rock. After a little while, he saw a piece of parchment blowing in the wind and land next to him on the rock. On that piece of parchment was written half a shloka of the 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So the king started to read, and as the first sound came out of his mouth, that horse fell down to the ground and gave up that horse body. He attained a transcendental four-armed form and immediately sat down in a flower airplane which had come from Vaikuntha to take him to that transcendental abode Vaikuntha. The king noticed that close by there was a beautiful ashram which was surrounded by fruit trees. Sitting in that ashram was a Brahmana who had complete control over his senses. The king went there, offered respects to that Brahmana, and with folded hands inquired from him, "How is it possible that my horse was able to attain Vaikuntha?" The Brahmana, whose name was Vishnu Sharma, he replied, "O king, previously you had a commander-in-chief of your army who was known by the name Sarvav Merund. He had planned along with the prince to usurp you and your throne. Before he was not able to, he got cholera and died, after which he took birth as that horse. By chance, he heard some words from the 15th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and it attained Vaikuntha." So hearing this, the king offered his respects to that Brahmana and returned to his capital. And there again and again he read what was written on that parchment. After a short time, he installed his son as the king of Gauda Desha and himself went off to the forest where he recited regularly the 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And he himself very quickly attained the lotus feet of Lord Sri Vishnu. Hare Krishna.